No one has told you this yet, but being the nice guy might be the worst thing you're doing to yourself. Yep, you heard that right. You see, there's a fine line between being kind and being too kind, a line that's all too easy to cross. And guess what? If you're not careful, it could be ruining your life. But don't worry, we're going to break it all down. So stick around. Let's take a moment to talk about something we all experience: being nice. Now, don't get me wrong. There's absolutely nothing wrong with kindness. In fact, the world could use a lot more of it. But here's the thing, when you're always the nice guy, always the one who bends over backward for others, it might be doing you more harm than good. Today, we're going to uncover the dark side of being too nice and why you need to set some boundaries like yesterday. Let's start with a common scenario. You're out with a friend, and they ask for a favor. Maybe it's something small, like helping them move some furniture, or maybe it's something that'll take up your whole weekend. What do? Most of us instinctively say sure, no problem, even if we have a million other things to do. But here's the catch. Every time you say yes to something you don't want to do, you're actually saying no to yourself. And trust me, over time, that no to yourself adds up. You see, being nice feels good because it's rewarding. When you help someone, you get that instant gratification, that warm, fuzzy feeling that you did something good. And hey, who doesn't like feeling good? But here's the kicker. If you're always putting others first, where does that leave you? Exactly. In the dust, exhausted, and maybe even resentful. Think about it. When was the last time you did something purely for yourself? No strings attached, no expectations from others, just something that made you happy. If you're drawing a blank, it's a sign you've been prioritizing everyone else's needs over your own for far too long. Now, I'm not saying you should stop being nice. Absolutely not. Kindness is essential. It's what makes us human. But there's a difference between being kind and being a doormat. And that's where things get tricky. When you're the nice guy all the time, people start to expect it. They assume you'll always say yes, that you'll always be there, no matter what. And while that might sound like a good thing, being dependable, being reliable, it can actually backfire. You see, when you're always available, people might start to take you for granted. They'll stop appreciating your kindness because they've come to expect it as a given. Ever notice how some people only reach out when they need something? It's like you're their personal problem solver, and they don't even realize that you have your own life, your own challenges, and your own needs. It's like they've put you into this box labeled nice guy, and they expect you to stay there, no matter what. But here's the harsh truth. Being too nice can actually attract the wrong kind of people into your life. You might find yourself surrounded by people who are more than happy to take advantage of your generosity without ever giving anything in return. And that, my friends, is a recipe for disaster. So, how do you know if you're being too nice? Well, ask yourself this. Do you often feel drained after hanging out with certain people? Do you find yourself saying yes to things you don't want to do just to avoid conflict or disappointment? Do you ever feel like you're being taken for granted? If you answered yes to any of these questions, it's time to reevaluate how much of yourself you're giving away. Let's dig a little deeper into why we do this. Why are so many of us programmed to be overly nice, even when it's to our detriment? Part of it comes from a desire to be liked, to be accepted, to be seen as a good person. Society praises the selfless, the kind-hearted, the ones who put others first. But at what cost? The problem is that this mindset can lead to burnout, resentment, and even a loss of identity. When you're always focusing on others, you start to lose sight of who you are and what you want. Your needs, desires, and dreams take a backseat because you're too busy making sure everyone else is happy. And that's where things can start to spiral out of control. You might think, well, I'm just being a good friend, a good partner, a good coworker. And sure, there's nothing wrong with that. But when your kindness turns into self-sacrifice, you're not doing anyone any favors, not even yourself. Because here's the thing, if you're always saying yes to everyone else, you're saying no to yourself. And over time, those no's can pile up, leading to stress, exhaustion, and even depression. Let's talk about relationships for a moment. Did you know that about 7% of the world's population is currently in a relationship? That's millions of people navigating the complex world of love and partnership. But here's something interesting. Being too nice can actually be toxic in a relationship. Wait, what? Yep, you heard me. There's something called the nice guy syndrome, and it's way more common than you might think. Nice guy syndrome is when one partner is overly kind, always putting the other's needs before their own, to the point where it becomes harmful. You might think you're being a great partner, but in reality, you're setting yourself up for a toxic dynamic. And here's why. When you're always available, always saying yes, and always trying to keep the peace, you're essentially giving up your own identity. And trust me, that's not good for anyone. Over time, this kind of behavior can lead to a power imbalance in the relationship, where one person becomes the giver and the other the taker, and that's when things can start to go downhill fast. Let's break it down with an example. Imagine you're in a relationship where you're always the one making sacrifices. You cancel plans with friends to spend time with your partner. You go out of your way to do things for them, and you never, ever say no to their requests. On the surface, it might seem like you're being the perfect partner, but what's really happening is that you're slowly eroding your own sense of self. You start to lose touch with your own wants and needs because you're too focused on pleasing your partner. And here's the kicker: over time, your partner might start to take your kindness for granted. They might start to expect it, to the point where they don't even notice the sacrifices you're making. And that, my friends, is where resentment starts to build. Resentment is like a slow-burning fire. At first, it's just a flicker, a tiny spark of frustration that you brush off. But as time goes on, that spark grows. Fueled by every yes you say, when you really want to say no eventually, it turns into a full-blown blaze, consuming your relationship from the inside out. And it's not just resentment that can come from being too nice. There's also the issue of losing your sense of identity. When you're always putting others first, you start to lose touch with who you are. Your hobbies, your passions, your dreams, they all take a backseat because you're too busy making sure everyone else is happy. But here's the thing: if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else. It's like they say on airplanes, put your own oxygen mask on first before helping others. The same goes for life. You need to prioritize your own well-being before you can truly be there for others. So, how do you break out of this cycle of toxic kindness? It all starts with setting boundaries. Let people know what you're comfortable with and what's off limits. It's okay to say no sometimes, and you shouldn't feel guilty about it. In fact, saying no can be incredibly empowering. Start small. The next time someone asks you for a favor, take a moment to think about it before automatically saying yes. Ask yourself, do I really want to do this? Do I have the time and energy for this? Or am I just saying yes because I feel like I have to? If the answer is the latter, it's time to practice saying no. And here's the thing: people will respect you more for it. When you set boundaries, you're showing that you value yourself and your time. You're showing that you're not just a doormat for others to walk all over. And trust me, the people who truly care about you will understand and respect your boundaries. Next up, prioritize your own needs. Make a list of what's important to you and stick to it. Sure, you can still be there for others, but not at the expense of your own well-being. And most importantly, get to know yourself. The better you understand your own thoughts and feelings, the easier it will be to set boundaries and prioritize your own happiness. Self-care isn't selfish, it's essential. Take time for yourself, whether it's through meditation, exercise, or simply doing something you love. When you take care of yourself, you're better equipped to handle whatever life throws your way. And here's the best part: when you're happy and fulfilled, you're in a much better position to help others. Remember, you can be kind without being a pushover. You can be generous without sacrificing your own well-being. And you can be supportive without losing yourself in the process. It's all about finding that balance, being there for others while also being there for yourself. All right, that's it for today's video. If you know someone who's just too nice for their own good, share this video with them. And if you're that person, let me know in the comments how you're planning to start putting yourself first. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. See you in the next one.